Hello, everybody. I surely hope everything is working right now. I think it is. We're looking good so far. Okay, no. Yes, I knew you were going to show up and try to jump on my desk, you little monster. All
right. Yes, it does in fact appear to be working.
Excellent.
Hello, everybody.
Hello. Welcome to Writer's Block. I'm going to give y'all a quick rundown, and then we will get to introductions, I suppose. So, Writer's Block works like so. Whoever is here in particular, Omni and I are the host of the show. Everybody brings 3 words, and the point of those 3 words is to inspire creative world building. And we are starting a brand new season. Omni and I both agreed before going into. We both were like, okay, we should just come in. You little shit. This is Cat. Say hello to the cat.
Yeah. The thickest, sweetest, fluffiest.
Fluffy gray. Yes. Get out of here. Okay. We both agreed that we wanted to go in completely blank. Like we didn't want to have any sort of predisposition to write one specific thing. So this is completely off the top of the head using the words that we have brought. So we'll go back and forth sharing our words until we have all of our words down, and then thus begins the writing process. So Omni, if you would like to introduce yourself before we begin.
Hello, everybody. I'm the last Omnitech, your favorite robot American. You guys can find me on my Twitch actually, you can't find me on my Twitch channel anymore because you can find me here on my YouTube. I'm the last Omnitech, all one word. And I do world building, art streams, web comics, and tabletop role-playing development. I'm currently in the process of running 2 games and having a blast. So, yeah. And of course, now a regular here with Red.
Heck yeah. It's good to have you, and it's good to try out YouTube streaming. This might have some little weird intricacies to it, but I know Omni here has moved over to YouTube streaming, which I'm super excited about. I will say, if anybody's out there like that wants to get into streaming, highly recommend leaning into YouTube. It's going to be a lot more beneficial to you as a creator than Twitch is at this point. But
yeah,
I am red. I'm one of the 3 primary colors. Holy shit, I haven't done that intro in forever. And this is my channel that I've set. Hello. Did you want to say hello? Is this your intro? This is your intro. This is Gloria trying to steal my intro. Hello. There goes the tail. Okay. I'm trying to get back into content creation lately. Hello, Lolly. Nice to see you. I was talking with Jake, and then Jake kind of convinced me to do the YouTube thing instead of Twitch. So if you are subscribed over on Twitch, please do not give me any more of your money. As much as I love money, I don't love taking your money. So unsub over there. So, because that's going to be a dead channel. Not going to use it anymore. I'm done with Twitch. Amazon is a shit company. Anyway, so like I said, how the show works. Each of us have 3 words. We go back and forth till we have all the words down. And then we start writing. So, Omni, why don't you start us off?
Oh, okay. Yeah, sure. No problem. Just voice the weight of the world onto me. All right.
Yeah,
well,
sure, absolutely. That's the idea.
Yeah. I mean, we're building the world. Someone's got to start lifting. So the way that this works is, as we mentioned, each of us provides a base prompt, a single word, and we just sort of do as GMs often do and just sort of stretch that. So I'm going to start off with I have 5 of them, so I'm going to put this one in first. My first word is green.
I didn't expect the color to be the first story.
That's right. We have red.
My opposite
green.
color. Yeah.
Indeed.
What was your thinking behind green?
So my thought was less the color and more the implication. I've not necessarily like environmentalist 100%, but the idea of using the environment and nature. So like less the I mean, and it could be interpreted like green is in like solar punk, which was my initial thought, but it could also easily be just interpreted as just nature or primal. Um, Either of those works. My end game is though I want some aspect of nature or biology involved.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, Lolly, he's trying to kill me. So nature biology, just sort of like a, okay, I see what you're saying. Okay,
Yeah.
I don't want to lean too much into that before we get through all of our words. My words are interessante. I want to start with clandestine.
Ooh. Oh, I love that word. That's a great word.
It's one of my favorite words. That being said, it's the definition of clandestine is kept secret or done secretively, especially because it is an illicit activity. So my thinking behind this is like, well, it sort of creates a narrative. It's just like what is clandestine, are other, and we can combine other words and be like, is there certain clandestine activities with this? Is somebody being underhanded? Is there something underhanded inherently about the world? Is there, et cetera, et cetera. At first I thought it might have been too specific, but I think it would be a bit more of a challenge to have a word like this in the broad spectrum of world building, considering this is our 4th season technically. So challenges are fun.
That's fair. I like that actually. Clandestine's such a good word, and it's such a good vibe, and it makes me smile because it does slightly dovetail with one of my next words.
Oh,
So I bring the word reckoning.
I just saw you type RE and I'm like, please God, don't tell me you're gonna put red.
No, that would have been hilarious.
Green,
like
red,
blue, gold.
Yeah, Omni.
And this is how you find out that I have problems. No, no, reckoning.
Yeah.
Reckoning. So
I like reckoning.
Yes, reckoning is a fun word. Again, let's see. As far as our definition goes, reckoning, the action or process of calculating or estimating something. But that's not the one we're looking for. A person's view, opinion, or in this case, judgment. So that's what we're looking for. An instance of reckoning in this term. So I mean it in particular in the sense of something come home to roost. We all know what a reckoning is when just something happens. Something happens that's been a long time coming. That's what I'm looking for here. So that'd be my word.
I'm okay. So sometimes I break my own rules and I talk about the writing side of things a little early. I'm imagining a place that is like wholly heavenly, nice and pleasant and green. It might be another world in the sense that it's like it's not the default world. It's some sort of like heaven, extraplanar place, but it's supposed to be like holy and pleasant and tranquil and serene. But there's some weird stuff going on there. There's some underhanded activities happening between the arbiters of this realm, and they are facing their reckoning in some way, shape, or form. Anyway, let's move on with more words.
I dig that. I like where you're going with that.
Yeah.
Well, what's your next word, Red? What are you bringing to the table with us?
Lucian actually helped me with a couple because I kept drawing blanks because I came up with clandestine while I was at work last night, and I was like, that's a good one, but I wanted to consort with my roommate before I went any further. One of the words they gave me that I really liked was incandescent.
Oh, I love that word. Incandescence.
Okay, so emitting light as a result of being heated. So that can be a very specific thing, but we can also look at it from the perspective of full of strong emotion or passionate. So a person can be incandescent, and incandescence in a person can look very different. It could be joy, it could be anger, it could be sadness. It's kind of close to catharsis, emotionally speaking. It can be, or related to.
Solaire introduced me to that word again, and I'm quite happy to see it reappear.
Oh, what introduced you to it?
Solaire. I'm making a Dark Souls joke.
Ah, yeah, he is.
If
very
only
much
I
that.
could be so wholly incandescent. Yeah, genuinely great word, and also used in the context you're referring to.
Yeah, thank you. It being heated until it glows is a very mechanical world building side of things. You know me, I like the more artsy, broad stuff. I'm very much a conceptual designer rather than a nitty gritty kind of person. But yeah, and incandescent can work. I already have a visual for what this world's going to look like, and I think I can convince you to ride along with my train of thoughts.
All right. Well, we'll get to the pitch. We'll get to the pitch for sure. By the way, guys, this is kind of how it tends to work. Is usually Red and I both formulate these two, not opposite. Often we oftentimes dovetail a lot because we have the same words we're working off of. But we both come up with our own ideas and then somewhere meet in the middle, or one of us just wholesale sells the other on the idea. We just fucking run with it. It's literally a meeting. We're basically shark taking each other's worlds right out of the gate.
Yeah, I'll be like Kevin, pee pee poo poo. In the words of that piece of shit. But anyway.
All right, so I love that word though. It's such a good word, Red.
Thank you.
Oh man, so I'm gonna put. I'm actually in a weird place right now in terms of which one I'm gonna use next. So I'm gonna do what I do whenever I don't know what I'm gonna do, and I'm gonna roll a chance cube. So let's see, 1, 2, and 3.
There we go.
Okay. I'm going to use the word punk. So.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
We're leaning into a vibe here.
We're leaning into a vibe. So the reason I bring up the word punk in this particular instance is in the sense of counterculture. Not necessarily the visual aesthetic of it, because so often, like, and I'm fine with the visual aesthetic of it, by the way. That's perfectly good. Like, I got no beef with punk culture and punk visual aesthetic. But actual punk culture is counterculture. It is the idea of opposing that which currently exists, and usually doing so because of problems within it. So it isn't just the idea of rebelling for the sake of rebelling. It's rebelling because something is wrong. And punk culture is usually loud enough and willing enough to say shit that pisses people off. Even things in this case, like about the way worlds are. So that's where I put down. This is a punk, that particular aspect of it. Thank you, D6.
Yeah, no, like I entirely agree. I mean, punk. Yeah, sure, we can use the aesthetic and stuff like that, but there is no point in borrowing an aesthetic if you do not know where it comes from and what it means. And punk culture, especially today, is super relevant. And with clandestine activities happening and certain reckonings, punk kind of feels appropriate, even if it doesn't look like the mohawk leather jacket type punk. It's still counterculture. It's still revolutionary. Punk doesn't really have to look a certain way, and it's a philosophy, or an insult for a hooligan. But,
yeah, but when you get older, it calls you a punk. Usually, you start grinning. You're like, hey, "Thanks, asshole."
I know you liked my first two words, but I think you're gonna like this one the most.
Oh,
non-Euclidean.
You swung for the fences with that one, my dude.
Yeah. And I also spelled it wrong. Let me.
There you go.
Is that how you spell it? Yeah, I got it. Okay.
It isn't triggering spell check, so I and that is how it is.
Aha! This is another one
Omni
Lucy had helped me
Oxford,
with.
last name dictionary.
Yeah. So
I love that.
I need to look up. I need to pull up the definition for everybody because I'm sure. Okay. So non-Euclidean is literally any geometry that is not the same as Euclidean geometry. So I know that might sound confusing for you people that didn't pay attention in math class. I know I didn't. So what it means is it's geometry that is not typically perceivable by the human eye. For example, there's a door in front of me, but I walk around behind it, the door. I do not see what is behind the door. I simply see past it like it was never there in the first place. I walk down a really long hallway to turn around to find that it was actually a short hallway, and I haven't really been walking that far. It's stuff like that. It's things perceivable to beings that would be in the fourth dimension, or that were able to perceive that. It's basically if you understand anything about like game development, and it's like unwrapping a texture map and looking at it flatly. It's able to perceive everything at once, but human eyes aren't able to do that. Thus, non-Euclidean is the term we use. So
it's almost paradoxical from our perspective sometimes, but it doesn't have to be. I think one of the best depictions of non-Euclidean anything would actually be from the movie Inception. Where they do things like the Penrose steps, and which is, if you've ever seen it, it's like that diamond shape of like stairs. Because of the way it's drawn, it looks like it's perpetually going upwards. Where you can do what we would consider paradoxical architecture, but from their perspective in a different angle, it makes perfect sense. I love that word. That's so good.
Thank you. So with the things that we have here.
You've got some interesting ideas going here, Red.
Yeah. Non-Euclidean also, if you want to do some at-home research, look up MC Escher. It's a very good way to understand it more as a concept, not like an actual mathematical concept, but like from an artistic conceptual standpoint, which is what we're using it for.
Going up the stairs and going down the stairs and going up
the sideways stairs. Stupid Family Guy jokes.
Honestly, it's our modern Simpsons. They already did it. Like, you gotta give it to them.
It is funny.
Okay, so I have an idea already in my head.
So do I. So we'll meet in the middle, it sounds like.
Indeed. So I want to hear your pitch, and then I'll let you hear my pitch as I'm still sort of solidifying it.
Have you played Hades?
I am familiar with Hades, yes. I have not played it, but I'm familiar with it.
Do you remember the last level before, like, the final level? It's Elysium.
Hades Elysium. No, I don't remember that, but I can look that up.
Look it up, because it's going to explain a lot about my pitch before I begin.
Okay, I'm looking at it already. It's very pretty.
Exactly.
It's very. So I can see where the green comes in. It's very ethereal, very green.
Yeah. So the idea I had was that this setting is maybe like in the most literal sense, like from an artistic standpoint, this is where souls go to die. This is a land of death. It's not a land of death in the traditional sense of like there's bones and skulls and bubbling, boiling blood and a river Styx. It's a very peaceful and tranquil place. It's a place where spirits genuinely come to find rest. But there is something happening here that is thus making it not so. Spirits are restless. Spirits are returning to the realms from which they originally presided. They aren't staying. They aren't finding their eternal rest and their peace. And they are rapidly declining in the souls the very souls they need in order to upkeep this realm. It's where souls go to chill forever. Absolutely, yeah. It's so I also imagine it having, whenever a soul enters the place, they sort of choose their form, and now that's number one. I think that's relatable to a lot of folks that are just like, yeah, I didn't really get to experience what I felt like I actually was in life. And somebody who identified as a man their whole life, they could be reborn and be like, you know what, I've actually been scared of the fact that I could, you know, actually be okay presenting as a female, and they have that chances, and to live out their afterlife as their true self. But also for the fun stuff of people literally just kind of being objects, like
Yeah.
swords and weapons and stuff like that. And even simple things like somebody could be an entire library. I don't know, why not? Or like some sort of like mechanical construct, like anything that you wanted. But the whole idea is, um, I think every soul that comes there brings something with them. So the landscape is sort of scattered with maybe not ruins, but like strange non-Euclidean shapes, things that are vaguely like buildings or war machines or places of interest. They could bring like like a pond or a lake with them. This realm is ever expanding. It's under like this sort of eternal twilight. It's never really day, it's never really night. It's this pleasant in between. It's twilight time. And yeah, I know this is me branching out and being not doing something dark, grim, and fucked up. It's something actually relatively pleasant, which is not normal for me.
If anyone out there has been watching Red or is aware of Red, and if you're not, let me fill you in. Red is the king of weird, fucked up shit. Normally, every role I've ever been in that he has run has been at very least a mind fuck, if not a clusterfuck. So, yeah, that tracks. That tracks.
But my thing is, this realm doesn't really need to be a realm of death. I just want to go for that sort of vibe. Like this could just be a fantasy world, and nobody really has to think about it. Maybe the denizens don't even realize that this is a fantasy world, but or that this is a realm of death. But they still try to like, I was brought here to this place, and I don't know why, and I need to venture north, south, east, west to like get out of here and return to where I need to go. It doesn't particularly matter how you want to interpret it. A mind fustercluck? Yeah, absolutely. This gives me the potential to do some really fuck shit. So, yeah, this is just my starting point idea that I have.
You're right.
I would like to build on that, but I would also like to hear your pitch before I go for any further. I think I've kind of included all of the words.
I think you've included pretty much everything except clandestine.
Clandestine. Clandestine is the arbiters of this realm are doing something underhanded. The more powerful souls, the ones that have been here for millennia or longer, time is really not of the essence in this place. They are doing underhanded, shady dealings that are leading to the realm changing for the worse, or so people seem to think. So there's obviously a punk culture evolving amongst younger, nascent, more impatient souls that are probably attempting to find out what's going on. They don't, maybe it's not so much they think that the arbiters are doing something truly evil. They're just doing something underhanded, or maybe even being exploited by another entity.
Okay, I can take that. So, all right. I think, yeah, safe to say you've covered pretty much every level. So, my pitch, the idea that I have in my head, Karen, as we've been working these things.
Mm-hmm.
So, you all, for those of you who don't know, I tend to build worlds that, like, I tend to be the opposite of Red. I tend to be the nitty-gritty world builder guy. I'm the guy that I like to know who's where and why, and I have, like, in my head a flow chart. Basically, theoretically, any game I've ever run or any world I've ever made could hum along under its own power with or without the presence of the players. And I like to see my players throw wrenches into those gears and watch as things explode and change. In
I
this
can't be that way.
Yeah, no,
It's just a rarity.
it's a good vibe. It's a good vibe.
Yeah.
So in my mind, I've been seeing as these words have come through, I'm seeing two sets of like mentalities appearing. On the one hand, sort of an orderly, almost serenity to it,
Mm.
and on the other, this vibrant aggression. It's things in opposition. So in my mind, as we've been writing these words out, my mind imagines a city. Now, not necessarily like a cyberpunk city. It doesn't have to be like that. In fact, actually, in my mind, it's not. I see namely towers. Those towers can be cyberpunk. They could be fantasy. They could, in my mind, they're literally monolithic, like monolithic stone. And on the one end, these towers have been built over eons, and there's a sort of almost like I don't want to say hyper real, but like hyper planned format to them. Like they're very manufactured in my mind. So, and they're so dense and so advanced, so complex, they're almost non-Euclidean in the sense. So you have these structures that are incredibly, again, interweaving and complex. And again, they don't have to be science fiction. My mind is actually steering away from science fiction and more into like grim fantasy. And so you have these massive towers powered by this like golden light that runs through them. So the incandescence, like that's their energy.
Okay.
But on the other end, as you go down away, like further away from the sky towards the bottom, that sort of flickers out. No, and people are forgetting what's on the bottom level. The people within this realm, whether they're people, and I'm kind of liking the idea of combining our ideas, but I'll finish mine first.
Sure.
So the idea that the people or the folks who live in this realm live these highly ordered lives, but these towers are ever stretching skyward. And so people tend to migrate upwards. And the folks that are left behind, further and further from the light, further and further from the power, literally abandoned by their civilization, by their society. And so at the bottom, I'm seeing this creeping corrosion, like moss or like roots slowly reclaiming these towers, and a counterculture emerging on the bottom, not the bottom level because no one's really sure where the bottom is, but in the left behind portions of these towers. So you have on the one side these arbiters of order, very regimented, being built these incredibly impressive structures, and then on the other end, the people left behind by this highly ordered, highly engineered, so advanced it's practically nonsensical almost society that are forced to live in a more primal, like a more primal state, and all really that it comes down to their opposition with those two forces. In my mind, comes to the beginning of, if not a war, an ongoing conflict between these two societies. One society that is the society that's maintaining itself, and the other society that's the necessary dregs left over from that first society, the ones who are left behind. And so that's my thought. This literal, like, you could turn it on its side, is how I see it in my head. These big monoliths on their side, and on one end you see like creeping moss coming up, on the other side you see shining light. And these sort of, one's crumbling, one's highly regimented, and neither. That's my thought. I like the idea of combining ours, though, because I like your idea of a realm of the dead. And I love your idea where people's souls go to rest. And my mind sort of almost goes to, I can't remember the name of it, but in D&D there's this one city in the center of everything. It's like the City of Doors, I think is what it's called.
Sigil.
Sigil. And it's always described as being like overwhelming.
I think this place is absolutely overwhelming at first.
Yeah. So I like the idea of maybe combining these two ideas, maybe. Perhaps this serene place is being superimposed, has order being superimposed on it on the long term. And as people are left behind, or people like are sort of fall out of that, they find the serene place underneath.
Huh.
Like it's almost sort of a creeping the way things are meant to be superimposing itself back over this artificial order. And so you have the power lying with that artificial order, and people slowly realizing what they've been denied and trying to reclaim it.
Let me riff on that.
Please.
I like the idea of these like towers, spires, whatever you want to call them. I want them to be like almost brutalist in the sense that they are so unbelievably massive that they are like hardly perceivable.
Yeah.
Like you can look up and up and up and your neck will snap before you see the top. Or they're so wide, like they are the size of cities themselves, and maybe these towers can be the cities. And I have a riff question for you.
Sure.
So considering the societies here, there's no point of capital, but what is the object of ascending to a higher position in the tower? Is it as simple as ascending the tower and going through challenges, trials, and tribulations in order to get to the higher parts of the tower?
So my thoughts on this. First off, I did want to slightly riff off of the tower idea. I love the brutalism idea. In my mind, I was trying to remember like what is it that I'm keeping. It's a very distinctive visual in my head. Esper from Magic the Gathering.
Yes.
Like the tower-like structures like that. So you're familiar with like obelisk Esper stuff like that. That's in my head. So between Eldrazi and that is like what I'm thinking. In terms of the actual like purpose of it, I think the idea is that, and so this goes back to like this ancient idea that I've been seeing bandied about more and more, that heaven, quote unquote, like the places where gods live are not always inherently better than the places where mortals live. They're just more ordered and closer to power. And so maybe they're more normalized. And so that would be my thought. There's not much money, but society is more organized. There's more of a regiment to it. It is more, for certain types of people, it is more palatable to live in a society with hierarchy and order than it would be to live in the chaos of maybe even discomfort. Like it could be that the further away from that order you are, the less easily things come. You're dead, so it's not like you are lacking for food or materials in that sense, but it doesn't mean that there isn't discomfort from not having those things. It doesn't mean that you might not necessarily want creature comforts, even though you're no longer mortal. Food might be comforting. Shelter might be comforting. You might not need it, but it's nice to have. And so being further away from this ordered place means that you're more into that primal serenity. And I think people have almost fooled themselves. The society has sort of, I don't say fooled themselves, but they've rejected that primal simplicity for a more ordered, regimented form of life that feels to them more comforting than the emptiness and the uncertain peacefulness of that serving place.
Absolutely. While you were talking about that, I sort of imagined like people being sort of birthed into this world, and I sort of imagined them walking out of a very brightly glowing pool and just sort of like the first sea animals coming onto land, and like that hyper stylized version of them like walking up and like slowly taking form out of this like glowing light until they appear something of their old selves. But I think what would be very interesting is that those that chose the primal lifestyle to stay away from these towers and society that as it's been built, and they live in the wilds of this world, I think they look more like their old selves in life than the people in the tower. I think people that live high in the towers have taken on different forms, maybe even non-Euclidean forms, maybe even like uncanny valley type, like be not afraid throne type shit. Like I think they've become less and less hominid as time goes on. But the primal ones, they look unerringly like they did in life. Maybe they were killed. Maybe, for example, let's say one of them had a spear through their head. What if that big scar on their head is literally just a glowing mote of light, but they still look like themselves. Maybe a glowing husk, but they still look like them. They still have life in their eyes, or they maybe even still have eyes.
Yeah, I actually love that idea.
I think we're at a
them.
point. I do want to say, I think we're at a point where we should start writing this stuff down.
I agree. I agree wholeheartedly.
I will. Let me. So I'm not clickety clacking. I'm gonna grab my notebook.
That's fair. That's probably a smart idea. I will do my best to avoid clickety clacking because you all can hear that very clearly out there.
I actually put a limiter on you. So do you want to try typing again and let me see if that picks up?
Yeah, sure. Let me just.
Yeah, you're fine.
Okay, cool.
Don't
I'll
type too
start
loud,
notes.
but it should be fine.
All right, that's fair. I'll start taking notes as well. So we'll do it together since our notes might also differ.
Yeah, and then that actually helps create more intrigue, so that works out.
I'm gonna put this on its own page.
Sorry, peeps. I just realized that the audio is not capping correctly. Well, no, the audio for the music playing.
Oh yeah, gotcha.
So yeah. Not a huge deal. Shoot. Sorry, I'm trying to figure out how to fix that real quick. Biblically accurate seraphim? Yeah, exactly. I don't want to go too Christian. I do just like the idea of these sort of people that ascend to this hierarchy and like they buy into it. They lose parts of themselves, a la you were talking about Esper. It's sort of the way that they use Ethereum. They give up parts of themselves and they eventually look nothing like their former selves. But I want to lean into it more. I don't even want their faces to look like the same thing.
My mind goes to the idea underpinning Hellraiser. Not Hellraiser itself, because that's very much just body horror, stitching, skin. But the underpinning idea in the Hellraiser series is that the Cenobites, as they're called, so Pinhead and those guys.
Yeah.
They were once human, but they now exist in a plane, in a post-scarcity environment, a post-life state, where they are free from the concerns of life, death, and need, and they are so insanely advanced that they are literally resculpting themselves into non-human states for fun. It's why they obsess with pain so much. Is for them, it's experiential. So their whole society basically became like non-human or post-human hedonists. And while the hedonism part isn't what I'm bringing to the table here, the post-human, what would you look like if you had no attachment to yourself at all, is kind of where I'm going. Like, I love the idea of the the seraphim almost, as mentioned. I like the idea of, like, you mentioned they could be like abstract shapes. You could be almost anything. Ghost in the Shell also comes to mind, where like you Ghost in the Shell, your visual identity online could be anything, and most people are just like normal people. But I remember there was one episode where literally someone turned themselves into a whole like movie theater, just for the fun of it, so people could watch their memories.
I think that requires you to buy in more to like when going back on what I said, since we're in like the rough creative process. Maybe you can become whatever object you want, but that is only if you buy into whatever society is actively accessible to you. Lolly said, not necessarily related to the Christianity side of things, just on the note that Uncanny Valley, with how utterly bizarre the Seraphim are described as. Yeah, Seraphim, if I remember correctly, some of them have been literally just described as like animal heads. So like, maybe I'm misremembering other biblical creatures, but
no, angels are always crazy. Like the reason why, like, the whole reason that the angel Gabriel exists is literally because talking to any of the other angels is inherently traumatizing, it seems. So, like, anytime that anyone talks to anyone, it's either Gabriel or the Metatron, and the Metatron's just a voice. So, like, literally all the others are just, like, crazy shit. Thousands of wings on fire, like, spinning wheels over a star. Like, in the case of death, literally the abstract concept of death, I don't even think they have a form. Like, yeah, no, they crazy. I love this idea of, like, strange non-Euclidean things. My mind literally goes to, like, hey, what would people turn themselves into if they didn't have a body? My mind goes to, like, 80s screensavers, practically. Like, you know, the first thing people did when they could start making 3D models was just making simple shapes. Like, and then staple them together and spline them together. I can imagine if you do that with your physical form, that'd be the first thing people would start doing.
But so yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think of a way to I think the idea of the appeal in the tower is that with this, like, societal structure, quote unquote, it sort of gives people something to aspire to in the form of, like, transcendence. Like, you can transcend your former form and become something entirely different. And there, like I said, there are people that actively choose not to abandon their former form, and maybe over time, as they time isn't perceivable in the notion of how we perceive it, because it's irrelevant for the most part. um I think the idea of, like, transcendence is like, oh yeah, you can give up your form, but, like, some people are like, no, I like my form, but over time they'll be like, okay, I'm kind of bored of this form, and I can literally take on whatever form I want now that I understand how things work. So
Yeah. Yeah, no, I love that, actually.
but I think only,
I
like,
almost
incredibly powerful souls can, like, transform into literally anything. Like,
Mhm.
for example, like, you'll come across in the wilds, like, a giant toad and be like,
Mhm.
oh, it's cool to see the fauna and wildlife, and then you realize it's actually an incredibly powerful wizard that was just like, yes, in life, I ruled armies, I destroyed worlds, I collided moons with one another to create more moons, but now I find peace as a frog, a simple toad, sitting on my
I
lily
love
pad.
that. It's the image of that. I actually like the idea of that. Um, like, and almost to me, the idea of we mentioned the idea that they could even be places. I like the idea of as you become more powerful, like reaching upwards on the tower structure,
Yeah.
you can also change your environment. Like it's almost like
Oh.
it's affecting you. There's this concept in the Destiny game, Destiny 2. The franchise has this concept called throne worlds, where basically by using this particular form of magic, which is basically a might makes right style murder thing, you can eventually make yourself bigger and more powerful. And the more you kill, the more you become powerful. You create a pocket world of your own called a throne world. And it's basically a reflection of your soul. And when you die, you go there and you come back from it. So unless you're killed in the throne world, you can't die. But it's like looking at this writ large version of someone's ego in an environment, basically. And so maybe it works both ways on this scale. Like the ones at the very top of like the order towers, the order spires, the ones that are insanely powerful, the non-Euclidean weirdos we were talking about.
Yeah.
Um, they're the reason why those towers keep stretching upwards and growing and changing. And then on the other end of it, you have the folks that have embraced that serene green simplicity, that place below that's creeping up, and they're the reason it's creeping up. Basically it's two domains slowly expanding, and one's reaching away from the other, and the other's racing after it. So
Bouncing off of that, this is, and I know you're gonna gel with this. This is giving me Coruscant vibes. Like the
Yes.
taller and larger these places get, which they literally exponentially get larger and bigger all the time. Maybe not exponentially, but they're always growing. It's because if you
Yeah.
think about it, these are literally like afterlife towers of Babylon.
Yeah.
Um, and
Absolutely.
as they get larger and larger, uh, things, and then they've been getting larger for unknowable amounts of time. Um, the bot, like you said, the bottommost parts of the tower are being neglected because they are too obsessed with the idea that we built a perfect foundation for these towers. They will never fall. So we don't even need to think about the base of the tower. That's where the people begin their journey. If it's overrun and infested with things, then so be it. They need to overcome these things in order to join us at the top. So, but even
Right.
though a lot of the grand architects and arbiters, they didn't go through any trials and tribulations. They built the place specifically to be, in the literal sense, hostile architecture.
What if, and hear me out on this, because my mind is thinking in terms of like, God, I hate saying this word nowadays, but almost like economy. What is the thing that people struggle over? It sounds like what they're struggling over, besides
Soul
power,
juice.
and, yeah, soul juice, soul juice. Quickly, stuff them in a blender. Yeah, no,
Soul juice.
yeah. My mind goes to the only commodity that's valuable when you don't have any need for, lives be sustained by a commodity is the lives. And what if both sides are pulling that like point between them? Where this orderly structure, I do love the idea of hostile architecture. That like, but to me, my mind kind of goes with God. This is gonna really out me as a dork. I watch a lot of Minecraft SMP stuff because I like Minecraft. I do. I'm basic like that, and so in it, whenever you have these like larger like SMPs with like factions and stuff, the thing everyone fights over is new players.
Yeah,
Always. And
absolutely.
so like my mind goes like, and oftentimes what'll happen is one side will build up and be like, hey, go this way, here's signs. They'll have people like standing there being like, welcome into the server, come on, we'll get you started, and they'll inherently pull them towards their faction. And so my thought is like the order faction kind of does that, where they're like, hey, welcome in, you died, this is the right way to go, you're going to go this way towards higher order. And the understanding is it's again hostile architecture. They're expecting to weed people out. They don't really care. And as folks go further in, they either go like, "Yes, this is exactly where I'm supposed to be going. Clearly, this is exactly what I want." And then the ones that are starting to like notice, oh, this feels a little too Squid Game, Hunger Games for me. To get into a better place. Where's that other side? There was a whole other path I didn't go down. Maybe I should go there. And like, so you have these two sides slowly connect for these souls. One side so pompous they literally don't realize they're feeding the other side of a conflict that maybe they're not aware they're in. Maybe that's the clandestine side of this. That the order folks are so hopped up on their own power and their own prestige, they literally don't see they're feeding an underclass that's rising up to destroy their civilization.
I had an idea based upon what you were saying, because I was like, what is something that could be traded? Because it, not in the sense of capitalism, but us as hominids and sapient beings, we have always traded. We have 30, 40, even longer thousands of years of history of humanity being reliant on trading. So it's something that is naturally, it's in our nature. It's in,
Right.
I would like to think it's in sapient nature, not only for the sense of just trading to get something and giving something somebody else needs. It's in the sense that even like giving a gift, just like showing appreciation. So I think that memories can be traded. in the sense that
Ooh.
there are storytellers that they might have their own memories, sure, but they hoard other people's memories and they sell them. Like, so for example, I thought of like, let's talk about the clandestine side of things. People
Mhm.
specifically want to find new souls. There are people that go out and seek new souls, new young souls that have been brought in to this world, um, specifically for the task of trying to probe them for memories of ecstasy, moments of pure bliss and nirvana, so they can take those memories, bring them to other people, let them experience ecstasy. Those memories get corrupted, they become less valuable over time. But the idea is that the purest memories of the freshest souls are incredibly high in value. And the more memories you bring to this higher order, which is supposed to ascend through understanding yourself, um, understanding what you once were and becoming something entirely different, and serving a higher purpose, has been inherently corrupted by the idea that we are going to keep our memories, and if we don't keep those memories, we can simply give them away and trade them and use them as a sort of economy. So I think that's where the clandestineness has become, because you're not supposed to be trading memories. It's like a drug. Um, in the sense that a lot of people in the lower parts of the city have really corrupted and fucked up memories, or they don't have very many memories at all, in the sense that they've kind of had them stripped away in exchange for favors or other things, or maybe even trinkets or memento moris from the other worlds that they've been from.
Maybe
Um,
they are the trinkets, right? Like they can just be enjoyed. It's like a drug almost,
also,
kind
you're
of
saying the
like.
memories in the trinket,
Yeah,
or like
like
the
in this
curio
case,
or bauble.
right? Like the idea of like when you pull someone's memory out of them, like it can be
Mm.
experienced again. And so for like these complex order people, it's almost like fine wine.
But my thing
It's
is,
like,
it can be
mm,
experienced again and again and again, but it will become inherently
yes,
corrupted when a memory of a person that was not their memory gets a hold of it. It starts twisting it and adding more things to it, so it becomes impure and it becomes more non-Euclidean, more
yep,
non-recognizable, more sometimes even horrific. Like it could turn something like an existential moment of like a first kiss, like a memory of a first kiss, into something absolutely horrific, like being assaulted by some strange monster. Like, but
yeah,
and
I like that. Like it,
yeah,
so you have this one side that treats them almost like a disposable high, and the
yeah.
other side that are the victims of that corruption.
Hmm.
I like that. I
And
like that a lot.
I think that's where conflict can come into play. At least one part of where conflict can come into play. I like that little crescendo there. That was cool.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. So souls.
like that a lot.
Yeah, the two things people truck with, I think, are souls and memories. Memories are treated like a temporary high. Some people maybe collect memories in order to preserve them. Um, taking the thing is, you can have. I think the idea of memories is they're not always like incredibly pure. Some of them can be very dreamlike. Like you can experience the memory and then forget it moments later, and that can become the appeal of the drug, quote unquote, the drug side of it. Um, but but also the idea that somebody gives away their entire memory, like part of themselves, and it is a completely pure memory that can be viewed at any given time, but they lose it. They no longer have it, but they can
Mm.
give away pieces of memories and still have them. I think maybe they become a little more foggy for them to recollect upon, but giving away the whole is a way to lose the self. So I think that there are people called um, the empty. The empty
Ooh.
is just off the top of my head. People that have no memories at all, like they've given away everything. So they're just husks. They're just
Okay, I like that. I like that. So literally almost servitors. They've sort of hollowed themselves out. Um,
yeah.
so I kind of dig that idea. I feel like that's sort of so it sounds like culturally, like society-wise. This is a circumstance where this regimented, complex order society is pulling people towards the top of their tower, and as they're doing so, closer towards their artificial order, you have. I'll actually use that term. Yeah, it's artificial order. I think works. Artificial, non-Euclidean, complex order. So as they're pulling them towards this complex artificial order society, they're both testing them and indoctrinating them to the idea of moving beyond themselves, of shedding parts of what they were. And while these people are doing that, they are becoming less and less human, or less and less like as they were, and more abstract and strange. And also, they are being preyed upon and having their memory stripped away from them, which is probably partly why folks at the very top of this order system are so non-human. They are so beyond it. Because to ascend this ladder, you are literally learning to trade parts of yourself away and replace them just as easily as gears as being stripped on a machine.
God, that's, that is so unbelievably cruel. The idea of like, I'm going to give away this memory here that might be valuable to somebody else that I don't care about, but I'm going to take this other person's memory and make it part of my own, to the point where you become the indistinguishable from your past self, because you are a ship of Theseus of different memories. Like, are you still yourself, or are you something completely different now? Like, you have grafted different memories onto yourself, or have you kept all of your memories and done something really underhanded and shady and stolen other people's memories and sort of become this strange being of high empathy or high apathy? It's sort of the idea of just like, yeah, I've seen the experiences of other people, and I've kind of come to the realization that I don't give a shit. Or I've seen the experiences of other people, and I've realized that maybe as a warrior in life, I didn't realize the lives that I was taking away from people, the things I was taking away from them, taking away from their families, their loved ones, their friends. Those sorts of things. Like, this is my chance. This system is, or this setting we're building is a giant redemption arc for people, and it could be for better, for worse. And I love redemption arcs, and this is entirely what this is. So I'm happy with it already.
Yeah,
but
I agree. I like the idea also. I like the idea of this process of becoming these artificial, non-Euclidean. I like the idea of calling it abstraction. Like literally becoming abstract.
I like abstraction. If we ever wanted to make this into a game, abstraction could definitely be a mechanic too.
100%, I agree. And so, on the one hand, you have these folks trending towards abstraction, and it's a race, basically. It's literally whittling parts of yourself off, and then grafting new parts of yourself on to adapt to this new, highly non-natural state, to adapt to this new environment.
Soul of Theseus.
Those that fall through, yeah. And then those who fall through on the other end. I'm going to literally write that down. Ship of Theseus. That's so important. Ship Theseus. And I might have misspelled. I absolutely did.
Just one S. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. There we go. And then on the other hand, falling towards serene, natural, green, primal simplicity, folks that either A, took one look at that and walked a couple feet down the path and were like, nope, and went the other way on principle, and found that serenity, that more natural state, and find themselves more at peace with it. And the ones who fall out of the system, the ones who don't get through the race. And so on the one hand, you have folks that are wholly self-actualized at the bottom. You have the ones that fell to the bottom because they were literally preyed upon and used as a commodity and thrown away. And then you have the ones who are literally just the husks, because I imagine order uses them, but also at the same time does not need all of them and discards them just as easily.
Yeah, I imagine a soul, the difference between a nice ripe like apple or pomegranate, whatever fruit you could imagine, and then by the time they're a husk, they're sort of just this withered rind that is hard and black and brown. It's not even, it doesn't even have a stench anymore. There's just nothing to it. It is just a withered thing, in the sense that souls are bright and vibrant and incandescent, if you will. They're full of passion and spirit, and the opposite end would be a husk who's given away everything. That being said, you can recover from being a husk, like you can gain memories, but the thing is, when you have no memories, no prior basis, you sort of become this very childlike thing, don't you? You
Hmm.
know, it's our memories and experiences that make us adults and mature and what have you. So I think husks are weirdly like the spirits of like ghostly children, like that trope. Like they don't really understand anything on a fundamental level. They can formulate new memories, but they're not powerful because they're memories from this place, not from the past life that they led. So
I like that. Yeah, it does. It's literally rebirth, right?
yeah.
So in a way, the husks almost it's very tarnished slash like the I can't remember what they're called, the ones from Dark Souls, the
uh
not the kindled one, but like something like
Hallowed Dead or something.
yeah, where like
Hallowed
they
Undead.
literally like yeah, where they literally are like burned out. But when you're burned out, you literally it's nowhere to go but up, almost.
Right.
Like or oblivion. Like, but either way, you have this weird state where you have these husks who, under most circumstances, would be just completely, I don't want to say hopeless, helpless, uh, utterly lost. But
Mhm.
with the right circumstances, these people can remake themselves. Sort of the opposite of abstraction. Abstraction is whittling pieces of other people onto yourself, memories, behaviors, actions, changing a natural shape. This is recultivating a new shape, regrowing yourself almost. So I kind of like that idea.
I like it too. Yeah, we're sort of branching out, how things are sort of working with the people of the world, and I like that. I wanted to, let's see, I think we've covered all of the words because our punk culture are the people that want to live in the primal side of things. Like they want to just be a part of this world and not be a part of this artificial order that's been created. So I think that's the counterculture. I also think there's another counterculture in the way that there are like former husks that are trying to ascend the tower to maybe take the hierarchy down a peg. Um,
Yeah, absolutely.
and incandescence comes from the idea that like a pure soul that is reborn into the world is still full of life technically and still full of emotion and what have you. The greenery comes from the scenery. The clandestineness comes from the shadiness of trading souls and memories. um
I like the idea that maybe candescence is the state of being complete. Like, and it can be achieved either by cultivating yourself, like with natural experience and memory, building yourself to a more, you know, a real person, or abstraction, where you literally bootstrap yourself until you are artificially complete.
mhm.
It's, my mind literally goes to completion from like, um, God, why can I not remember their name? The Magic the Gathering faction.
Esper.
No, not
Oh,
Vesper.
Phyrexia.
Phyrexia. Where like it's the end goal. The end goal is to be a complete person. So you can either
Mhm.
achieve that by being a complete person, growing, becoming one naturally, or you can approximate one so efficiently that the simulacra becomes a person.
Yeah,
So, but either way, incandescence is achieved only by being a whole.
I like what you're thinking.
Which also explains why people who first arrive are most incandescent. Like they have been people, real people. And then there's that weird, like, as they progress either way, they're sort of stripped of that, or they lose that process and they have to rediscover it or literally artificially recreate it.
I had a really messed up idea for I was talking about the what was the word I used? The architects of this tower. I was thinking that since they're building a tower for like, the purpose of like all the ascension, what if there are people in parts of the tower that are collecting these memories and what have you, and they're making constructs and like golems from these memories, things that never actually lived, but
Ooh.
they're taking from things that once did live, and they're sort of building like this sort of army of basically controllable henchmen. Like they're looking for specific memories that would make them more like malleable, and they essentially just I like the idea that when you said like curios and artifacts and like memento mori type things, making up these memories as they're taken and traded and stuff like that. I just imagine these like constructs being like sort of full of light, like the arc-bound creatures from Magic, but also just completely covered, if not completely made out of these mementos.
I like that idea. I like that idea actually a lot. And that could also, that feeds into that commodities memory thing,
Mhm.
where it's like you could either use it to complete yourself, you could also weaponize it as a tool to defend you and to,
Yeah, making a golem, it could just be one part of this as a whole. Like,
yeah, absolutely. You could use it to like, you could use it to modify your environment. You could use it to change the nature of people or things. You can literally use it to make weapons, actual weapons. Like what's cuts deeper than a painful memory, right? Like,
absolutely. Yeah, that's good. I like that. Painful memories used as weapons. Almost like psychic damage.
yeah, that's my exact thought, right? Like, you're dead. So traditional weaponry, like, it can probably whittle away at you, maybe, but like, it's more of the harming of the soul and the spirit, the mind that's going to be relevant here.
Right. God, we just made something really fucking great really fast. Like I feel like I could riff off of this forever.
Writer's block, baby. Writer's
Yeah,
block.
we're
While you're all
back
here,
every
we're back.
Wednesday, 12 p.m. CST.
Oh yeah.
And if you'd like to be on the show at any point, I am keeping an open mind for guests to come on, and that means you guys can bring 3 words and help us participate in the world building process. I'm not sure when we will be bringing guests on, but there is a point in which I would like to do that because some of the best world building sessions we've had is from outside influences that have maybe skimmed the stream or seen some of our notes and what have you, and had their own individual ideas. That is the beauty of creativity as humanity, is that we all have, if I tell you to picture a chair, I picture a nice high-backed upholstered smoking chair, and somebody else could picture like a folding metal chair or a plastic chair or I don't know, the chair from the Pee Wee Herman show. Like it's just that's the beautiful thing about human creativity is we never all quite picture the same thing. So block, what block? You guys have so much creative flow. The name comes from the fact that we haven't done this for over a year, so we've had writer's block for that long. No,
Hmm.
but we've both been working on stuff in the background, more so Omni than I. But um, I
You've
think,
got a lot of irons in your fire too, sir. But just because they're not tabletop related doesn't mean they're any less fire.
well, I'm doing what I can right now. But let's see here. I already have a page full of notes here. Um, did, we are nearing the hour and a half point, 10 minutes out from that, actually. Well, at least
Yeah.
on this end. Um,
Yeah.
let's see. Actually, let me see how long we've been running for, because that's not telling me.
Right now, we have been running for about an hour 15.
Hour 15. Intriguing,
Mhm.
because it says the stream has only been going for about half an hour. I don't
That's
know if that's... Yeah, that can't be right.
it definitely is not. I'm looking at it. I'm literally looking at the YouTube video right
I
now.
was gonna
and
say.
It's an hour and a half long. It's an hour and 15 long.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I was gonna say, Jesus, I feel like we've been going for a while. Okay. 75 minutes here. Thank you. I appreciate that. That helps things. Did we want to... You know, here's the tough part. We should use the last bit of the stream for coming up with a name.
Yes, we should.
Yeah.
You know, we went.
Oh,
You know what the funny thing was? How long did we go before any of the other projects we worked on got a name?
Too long because we need something
Embarrassingly
marketable.
long. Yeah, I think Ants went without a name for like almost 2.5 episodes before we finally. Yeah.
And
Let's
then I was
fix
just
that
like,
right now.
let's call it anus, but replace the N with an E. Oh
God. All right. So
we'll call this anus. Since
no.
I didn't, okay, no anus. All right, no butthole.
No, definitely not.
I really like I really like the word Elysium. Mostly, I'm a huge fan of Disco Elysium, as a lot of people know. But the word Elysium is also very like that would have been one of my words if Lucian hadn't helped me. But it's Elysium is this eternal paradise realm in like the original ancient Greek mythology, and I kind of wanted to riff on that a little bit.
Okay, I do like the idea of that. My mind immediately went to like the primary dominant thing of this environment. My mind went to spires or like climbing. So like, you know, my mind went like, oh, the ladders or something that equivalent, but there's not really much laddering here.
Jacob's ladder.
Jacob's ladder. Post-life memories. I dig that.
Post-life memories is cool. That would be the name of a. I think that would be the name of a short story written in this setting. I wrote that down.
Yeah,
I like that
I
suggestion.
definitely feel like that at very least could be like a subtitle for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Man. So like the real thing comes from, do we want to make it just if we're making a bespoke word, we could work with Elysian. My mind really goes to like, well, the easiest way to make like a setting in science fiction is to take the word you were inspired by and then saw off about a third to half of it and call it a day. So eyeless. But like,
well, no, it's saw off a third to a half of it and then add anus on the end. That's how you write sci-fi.
That feels even worse. That
Spires
feels
of
even
memory.
worse.
I like Spires of Memory.
Spires Memory is good. I like that one.
Oh, let's see. Let's see. That's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
The
Rise comes to mind. Like literally rising, but that's a little on the nose.
Are you familiar with the word idyll or idyllic?
Yes, I'm familiar with idyllic. Yeah.
I think that would be a good word to use.
Ides, but that has a different meaning. My mind immediately goes to a Roman center with a lot of knives in its back. So,
At two, I just
too abstract, brute, and then just kick him out of the tower. Man.
Memories of a soul.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I want to make it's a big part of it, but I'm not sure if I want to make the memory thing a part of a title.
Yeah, no, I kind of agree with that. An implication could work for it.
Just trying to think of stuck on the term memory. I mean, fair enough. You remember
Memoriam.
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 Sounds a little too Catholic.
That's fair, but so in memoriam, literally just in memory. Like it's literally just the word memory.
See, that makes me think of CC a little bit too much without going into too much detail.
Oh no! I'm sick. I'm ill. It's dead. You killed it. God, a crueler execution of an idea I've never experienced.
Forgive me.
You just old yellered it so hard in front of me, man. Give me a warning. Let me at least kiss it goodbye before you put a shotgun to it.
No, you know me. I don't hesitate.
But I do like the idea, perhaps, of leaning into memory in some way. My mind literally went to like Memento Mori was kind of like the thing. So like Memoriam, Memento Mori, like literally, like remembering. But let's see. I'm gonna turn to my old friend Mr. Thesaurus here.
Yeah, I'm looking at Mr. Mythophothowith. I can't fucking talk.
Let's see. Oh. Oh, no, that's not correct. Let's see. Relic? Something saved from the past. Literally.
There.
Hey, memory is a powerful word out there, Lolly.
It really is.
There's like literally, we're yanking on that too. Vestige also works.
We're not yanking on it too hard. We shouldn't really be doing that on YouTube.
Remember, folks, we follow the terms of service. That includes me occasionally cursing within the first 5 minutes. I apologize.
No, I don't think we cursed at all in the first 5 minutes, so that's fine.
I tried not to so hard.
I think I've only said the F word twice, and that's been in the last 20 or 30 minutes. So.
That's fair.
Forgive me for bumping my mic.
Oh, okay. I thought you snorted, honestly.
No, I ran my pencil across my microphone. I don't want to do like Memento Mori or anything like that because that's what CC named his stream on.
I agree. We'll leave Memento Mori off, but I do like the idea of like, what is that? Like I like the idea of relic. I like the idea of I don't know why I did that. Why did I do that? Relic or like vestige both work. Or something derived from that. Get out there, Descent of Recall. I don't like the idea of descending though. I feel like either way, like because here's the thing in my mind. In my mind, the only way to view these towers accurately is from the side. Like, sure, they're going vertically, but really, your ascent is whichever direction leads you to you. So, like, I don't want to say descent, because also my mind immediately goes to, what is that? Demon the Descent. That's because I'm World of Darkness built. So,
I mean, that's fair.
But it's a good one. So let's see. We have. What have you been thinking? I've been bounding about a lot of ideas.
I've been coming up with words that I want to use for future writer's blocks instead of actually fucking coming up with the title.
You bastard! All right.
I'm sorry. This is a good one. Well, I keep trying to like think of. I'm trying to think of like an evocative word for immortal.
Well, let's see. Mending. Enduring. Beyond. You see, one of the best parts of this show, Ollie, is that we also get to bandy with our audience because you guys give us so many good ideas.
Yeah, like we've had amazing ideas from the audience. Like
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Journey Beyond.
Oh my god, did I just come up with a name?
What? Give it. Hit me.
Hold
I'm
on,
over
I
here.
wanna... No, my god, it already exists. Never mind.
What was it?
Eternum.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Fucking Amazon Game Studios, bro. Fuck the... Never mind, I probably should say that.
My mind immediately went to Immortum, but then...
Immortum.
Immortum.
Oh man, what was... God damn it, I feel like I had something.
Hold on.
I'm usually better at coming up with names than this. I like the word eternal a lot.
That's hilarious. My mind's been really banding about relic. And I was like, relique. And then I'm like, no, that's literally the French for relic and also implies the bones of a dead saint. I'm trying to avoid that. Let's see.
I think Eternum is like ETRNUM is like a fucking Warhammer thing too.
Yeah, we try not to think too much of Warhammer because Warhammer just likes to take Latin, strap a bridle onto it, and have its way with it. It's not really our fault. That's like...
Actually,
the guys over at Games Workshop really could do with, in fact, someone stealing their English to Latin dictionary from them. I think they get a lot out of that.
Yeah, no, those guys aren't exactly creative. When it comes to names, I mean, everything else is amazing. I'm not trying to...
Yeah, no, I'm a Primaris player. I can vouch. Yeah.
What if we just call it Hereafter?
I love that, actually. I actually legitimately love that. Hereafter.
Oh god, that gave me chills. Actually, the idea of just like
Red,
we're still
you...
hereafter.
Can I just say this is a first actually on Writer's Block, because it feels like every time we've done Writer's Block, I inevitably end up being the one who pops the name for it at some point. Red, this is yours. This is your baby. This is yours.
Fine.
Proud of you. Hereafter. I love that.
Oh man. I know there's a movie called Hereafter, but whatever, fuck it.
Dude, they don't have that is literally a word. They cannot copyright that word, and it's not our... No, screw that.
Also, it has a 56% rating on it, so... Also, it was directed by Clint Eastwood, what the fuck? Yeah, whatever, don't care. This is directed by us.
Yes.
No, because Hereafter is like, it sounds very hopeful too. Like it's there's still something left after you've gone. Like you still have things to do, things to be done. You can rest, but it's...
Yeah, my mind
Lollybell likes it a
goes...
lot. That's good. That's good.
Yeah, it very much reminds me of like What Dreams May Come, almost. That same sort of vibe.
Usually when dreams come, never mind. I need to stop doing this.
Stop!
All right, Hereafter it is.
Dude, that was really good. Right out of the rip, that was really good.
Thank you. It's also just a one-word title. It's memorable. I was trying to avoid the whole like Magic the Gathering or Vampire the Bloodnik. Just the
yeah,
that sort of thing. I like those sorts of things, but I think they're overdone in fantasy now, and not overdone in fantasy, but just overdone in general. I mean, movies these days are coming out with titles like Her, Them,
literally pronoun, adverb, the movie. Yeah.
Oh, let's go to the woke movie theater and see she, and then let's watch
Jesus
Her afterwards.
Christ. No.
I'm being ironic, I promise.
I know you are.
Look at my pronoun. Look at my pronoun.
I am putting a ban on the word woke on this. On this. No, not even Yes, no, fuck that.
Look at the overlay. Look at my pronouns. I'm allowed to make jokes about
But that
this.
said, I do agree with you. There's so many movies and so much media that's been coming out in the past few years where it feels like the naming conventions are so on the and it leaves literally nothing to the imagination, nothing to like build on. You might as well like
Yeah.
it'd be like if they called Frankenstein instead of Frankenstein, they called it Reanimated Monster Feels Bad. Like it's a little too on the nose. So I love this. And guess what? Guess what? It's an hour and a half.
Perfect.
Damn near on the nose.
All right. Well, that is probably the most productive session of writing that I've had in a very long time. So, and I think I should just be using this format even in my own writing of just like sitting down, coming up with 3 words and figuring out how to put stuff together. We've introduced the setting. We've introduced like internal conflicts of the setting. We've introduced different types of people in the setting, and we've covered every single word. We've come up with ideas and concepts of how the world works. We need to obviously rough that out a little bit more, but we have the broad strokes we need to make here after a very interesting and in-depth setting. And I wanted to say a special thanks to Lollybo for sticking with us and joining us and providing providing good commentary and also good feedback and suggestions.
Yeah.
That's something I really always appreciate is a interactive audience, and that's what the show's all about. So. Since we did intros already, I don't think there's really a need to do outros. This is Omni, the last Omnitech. Go find him on Blue Sky. He is always uploading comics and stuff like that. I don't know how he does it. He is like a machine. I think he's he's your favorite robot American. But
you can also find me here on YouTube as well. So.
Yeah, I don't have the brain power to post links, so if you wanted to post your own links, please, by all means.
I'm doing it, homie. I'm doing it.
Oh yeah.
A mile ahead of you.
As usual. I'm more of a kilometer guy myself. So
everyone go hit that bell, subscribe, give Red those subs, please.
Give me.
He deserves them.
Please.
We're both chasing the 500 mark to officially become like official channels.
Subscribe. So, it's free.
Subscribe.
It doesn't cost you $1.
Like the video. Share it with your friends.
Share it with your dog. Eat the video. I don't care what you do with it. Punch the video.
Like yes.
Beat that like button like whatever Paul brother beat Mike Tyson.
Oh my god.
Actually, do it with some more enthusiasm, please.
Dang. Yeah. Thank you guys so much for joining us as we build worlds together.
Heck yeah. And we will both see you guys next week at the same time, same channel. Au revoir.
Peace.